My fake friends used me for years, so I made them regret every favor they asked for. You know that guy? The one who always picks up the phone, always says yes, always shows up, middle of the night. He'll be there. Need a ride across town. He'll drop everything. Need to crash on someone's couch? His door's open. Yeah, that was me. For years, always the dependable one. The helper, the fixer, the guy everyone called. But never really called for me. It wasn't like I didn't notice it. Not at first. It starts subtle, you know? At first it feels good. Like you're important to people. Like you matter. Like you're the glue that holds the group together. And honestly, for a long time, that was enough for me. Being needed, being useful, being the guy who made plans happen, who covered the bill when people forgot their wallets, who lent money without expecting it back. But over time, little cracks started to show. Like the group texts I wouldn't get invited to, the inside jokes I didn't understand, the nights out where I'd see their photos on Instagram later, realizing I was never even considered. And when I'd ask, "Oh bro, it was super last minute," or "You were working late, we figured you couldn't make it." Excuses, always excuses, but still, I kept showing up, kept answering, kept being that guy. The one who picks up at 2 a.m. when someone's stranded. The one who drives across town to help move a couch, even though nobody showed up when I moved apartments last year. The one who covers dinner, because half the group suddenly forgot their wallets. Again, I remember this one night, middle of winter, freezing cold. My so-called friend Dylan calls me. "Bro, my car died. I'm stuck downtown. Can you come get me?" Without hesitation, I grabbed my keys, threw on a jacket, drove 30 minutes across the city, through traffic, in the snow. Picked him up, dropped him at his place, didn't even get a thank you. He just mumbled something about how I saved his ass, and slammed the door behind him. Another time, Mike, another one from the group, asked to borrow $500, said it was just until Friday. That was 8 months ago. Still hasn't paid me back, doesn't even bring it up. And then there was Alex, the ringleader, the loud one, the charming one, the guy everyone seemed to orbit around. Always cracking jokes, always making fun of me in that playful but kinda mean way. "Oh look, it's Captain Reliable again. You're too nice. Man, one day we're gonna ruin you." He'd laugh if they'd laugh, and me, I'd smile, pretend it didn't sting, but deep down, it did, more than I let anyone know. Then came the night that changed everything, the night I realized I wasn't their friend. I was a tool. A backup plan. A human Uber. A free loan. A punchline. And that night, sitting in my car, staring at my phone, reading a group chat I wasn't supposed to see, I made a decision. I was done. Done being the joke. Done being the safety net. Done being their convenience. And from that moment, I started planning, quietly, strategically, because if they thought I'd always be there for them, they were about to find out exactly how wrong they were. After that night, everything changed, but not on the surface. Outwardly, I was the same guy, still smiled at their jokes, still answered texts, still showed up to the occasional hangout. But inside, different story. I'd flipped a switch, and the first thing I did was simple. I stopped saying yes, not dramatically, not with some angry, "I'm done with you all" speech. That would have been too easy for them to dismiss. "Oh, Daniel's just being sensitive." No, I wanted this to burn slow, controlled, precise. I wanted them to feel the void before they even realized I was creating it. The next time Dylan called for a ride, I let it go to voicemail twice. Then when he finally texted, "Yo, where you at? Need help, bro?" I waited an hour, then replied, "Sorry, man, tied up. Hope you figured it out." No explanation. No apology, just distance. When Mike hinted about needing money again, some lame story about rent being late, and just needing a couple hundred to float until payday, I replied, "Wish I could, man, but funds are tight too." Which was my bank account was fine, but I wanted him to feel the door closing, slowly, deliberately. With Alex, it was trickier. He was used to me being his shadow, his hype man, the guy who laughed at his jokes even when I was the punchline. So I started pulling back. When he made a joke at my expense in front of the group, I didn't laugh, didn't fake smile, just stared at him, let the silence sit. Uncomfortable, heavy. He noticed that I could see it in his face, the way his grin faltered for a second, the quick glance he gave me, like he wasn't sure what just happened. Group chats? I went silent, no more emojis to no more LOL reactions to no more quick replies at 2 a.m. I became background noise. The same way they'd treated me for years, it felt poetic, honestly, giving them back exactly what they gave me. And while they scrambled to figure out why I was pulling back, I was keeping score, mentally listing every favor, every dollar, every sleepless night, every time I dropped everything for people who wouldn't cross the street for me. Then came the weekend barbecue at Alex's place. I showed up late on purpose, stayed for 30 minutes, barely said a word, refused every drink offer. And when Alex tried making some loud joke about me being too cool for the group now, I just smiled, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "You know, maybe I am." The silence after that, thick, uncomfortable, delicious. They laughed it off, or tried to, but I could see the shift, the way they watched me closer now, wondering, what's up with him? Is he mad? Is something wrong? But none of them asked, because fake friends don't ask how you're doing. They only notice when you stop serving them. And now, for the first time in years, I wasn't serving anyone but myself. And that was just the beginning, because next, I was going to make sure they felt everything I felt. Times 10, there's something oddly satisfying about watching people scramble when they realize their safety net isn't there anymore. It started small, missed calls, delayed replies. Then I started being busy during their mini crises. Dylan got a flat tire, middle of the highway late at night. He called me 4 times. Normally, I'd have been out the door in seconds. But this time, I muted my phone, let him figure it out. Next morning, group chat was full of rage. "Yo, had to wait 2 hours for roadside assistance. Where the hell were you?" I just replied, "Sleeping, sorry. Bro." No emoji. No fake guilt. Just cold. Unbothered. Mike was next. Lost his wallet. Needed gas money to get home. Called me. Begged. I answered. Let him explain the whole sob story. Then said, "Yeah, that sucks, man. Wish I could help, but I'm tight on cash too." Click. Hung up. Blocked his number for the rest of the day. But the real masterpiece was Alex, the ringleader, the puppet master, always the loudest voice in the room, always the first to roast me. His big moment came 2 weeks later. He was hosting a birthday party at a bar downtown. Expected me to help set up, pick up drinks, handle logistics, basically be his free party planner, like I had every other year. But this time, I didn't. I showed up 2 hours late, alone, with no supplies, no decorations, no backup plan. When he pulled me aside, half drunk and pissed, "Dude, what the hell? You always help with this stuff." I shrugged. "Not my responsibility, man. You're the host," and walked away. Left him standing there, speechless. That night, I made my next move, subtle but effective. I started dropping little comments, tiny seeds. In front of the group. Funny how I'm always the one people call when stuff goes wrong, huh? Or crazy how quick everyone forgets favors once they get what they need. Or my favorite, when Rachel, one of Alex's closest friends, started venting about how he bailed on her last weekend, I just smiled and said, "Yeah, sounds like something he'd do." Her face, priceless. The thing about fake friends, they're loyal until it's inconvenient, until it affects them. And once I started planting doubt, it spread fast. Old tensions bubbled up. Arguments started breaking out in the group chat. Who owed whom money? Who bailed on who? Who never showed up when it mattered? And through it all, I stayed quiet, let them tear each other apart, because after years of being their emotional punching bag, watching them turn on each other was better than any revenge I could have planned. And the best part? I wasn't even done yet, because what came next would make everything up until now look like foreplay. By this point, they knew something was off. I could see it in the way they acted around me. Less jokes, less teasing, more caution, more fake smiles, more "Hey bro, you good?" texts, like they suddenly cared. But me, I stayed quiet, because silence is where power grows. And while they were busy trying to figure out why I'd gone distant, I was busy going through my archives, old texts, screenshots. DMs, photos from nights out, stuff they probably forgot about, stuff they definitely didn't want anyone else seeing. See, when you're the reliable friend, the safe one, the guy nobody takes seriously, people let their guard down around you. They talk, they confess, they gossip, they trust. that you'll never use what you know, but they forgot something important. I'm not that guy anymore. Let me break down what I had on each of them. Dylan, screenshots of him bragging about cheating on his girlfriend, complete with dates, times, and even pictures from nights he swore he was working late. Mike, text receipts of him talking trash about Dylan, right after borrowing money from him. The irony? Beautiful. Samantha, old group chat screenshots where she laughed at Rachel's expense, calling her pathetic for crying over a breakup, and then pretending to be her emotional support the next week. Alex, where do I start? I had recordings of him trash-talking every single person in the group, calling Dylan a broke loser, calling Mike a charity case, even calling Samantha attention-starved and annoying. The guy played everyone, and they had no idea. I could have nuked them right then and there. Hit send, mass drop all the receipts into the group chat, watch them implode. But no, that would have been too fast, too obvious that I wanted them to suffer, slowly. So I started leaking, just enough. First, I sent an anonymous DM to Dylan's girlfriend, just 2 screenshots. Nothing else. A timestamp. A location. A text from Dylan to me saying, "Bro, she'll never find out. LOL." Result? Breakup. Immediate. Dylan had no clue how she found out. Next, I accidentally left my phone unlocked at a small group hangout, with a message open. .1 from Mike, trashing Dylan. Of course, Dylan saw it. Cue the next fallout. Full-on screaming match, right there in the living room. For Samantha, I waited until Rachel was venting to me again, this time about feeling lonely after her breakup. I sent her a screenshot. .1 single line from Samantha from 6 months ago. God, Rachel's such an emotional leech sometimes. Rachel's reaction? Immediate. Deleted Samantha from socials. Blocked her number at BY the next weekend. Samantha was out of the group chat. And Alex, I saved him for last, because with him, it had to be public, big. The final blow. So I waited, planned, watched as the group got smaller, more fractured, more bitter, until finally, it was time. And trust me, when I finally pulled the trigger on him, it made every second of this worth it. With Dylan exposed, Mike humiliated, Samantha excommunicated. There was only one piece left on the board. Alex, the self-appointed leader, the puppet master, the one who kept all the toxicity flowing. Year after year I saved him for last on purpose. Because with guys like Alex, you don't just remove them quietly. You make it loud, public, undeniable, something they can't spin, can't gaslight their way out of. So I waited for the perfect moment. That moment came 2 weekends later. One of our mutual friends, Jared, was hosting a birthday party. It was one of those big events. Multiple friend circles, old high school people, work friends, college friends. A full house. And Alex was going to be there, playing his usual role, center of attention, life of the party, acting like he wasn't the reason half our group had already imploded over the past month. I showed up early, sat quietly in the corner, watched him work the room. Same jokes, same fake charisma, same loud laughter that never quite reached his eyes. I pulled out my phone, opened the folder I'd been building for weeks. Alex, final act. Inside, screenshots, voice notes, text threads. DMs where he talked trash about almost everyone in that room. Stuff like, Jared's parties are always lame, but free booze, so whatever. Rachel's so desperate for attention it's sad. Mike's a broke loser, surprised he even shows up to stuff. Dylan, dude's a walking disaster. And the worst one, a screen recording of Alex joking, more than once, about how he manipulated Samantha into being his backup hookup, all while telling the group he respected her like a sister. Yet it was bad. So, when the party hit its peak, when the music was loud and everyone was halfway drunk, laughing, dancing, posting Instagram stories, I made my move. Airdrop.to. Every single phone I could detect on the Wi-Fi. Everyone. Jared, Rachel, Mike, Dylan, random acquaintances, even people Alex barely knew. Dozens of phones lit up at the same time, screens opening, messages popping up, and within seconds, the room changed. Laughter died. Conversations froze. I watched as faces went pale. As people scrolled. As they read line after line of Alex's two-faced trash talk. People started whispering, pointing, looking at him, then looking back at their phones. And Alex, at first, he didn't notice. too busy making some crude joke near the beer pong table, until Jared walked over, phone in hand, face stone cold. "What the hell is this, Alex?" Then Rachel, then Mike, then Dylan, then almost the entire room. People confronting him, reading his words out loud. The same people he'd called friends. His face went from confusion to horror to rage that he started stammering. "This is fake. Someone's setting me up. You know I joke around like that." But it was too late. Screenshots don't lie. Voice notes don't lie. And the collective silence from everyone staring at him. That was the final verdict point. One by one, people started walking away. Jared kicked him out of the party. Right there to eye in front of everyone. Alex, red-faced, humiliated, stumbling out the door, and me, I just sat there, sipping my drink, watching it all unfold. Feeling satisfied, because for the first time in years, he couldn't control the narrative, that couldn't twist the truth, that couldn't laugh it off, that he was done, socially, and completely finished. But I wasn't done. Not yet, because after Alex, I still had one more step in this plan. The one that would tie it all together. The final chapter, where I reclaimed everything they ever took from me. After that night, the group collapsed. Whatever fake foundation they had crumbled fast. The group chat? Dead. Nobody was replying. People left one by one. First Rachel, then Dylan, then Mike. Samantha stayed in it longer than I expected, probably watching in silence. But eventually, she dipped too. Alex tried damage controlled. He texted me 2 days later. First message, "I know you're behind this." Second, "You're pathetic, bro. You think this changes anything." Third, "We were friends. Man, you don't do this to friends." The irony almost made me laugh. The guy who turned me into a walking joke for years was now trying to play the victim. I didn't reply, blocked his number, deleted the thread, and with that, he was gone for good. And the rest of them, I heard the stories. Word travels fast in circles like ours. Dylan tried getting back with his ex, she ghosted him. Mike started dodging people, afraid others would come collecting the money he owed. Rachel and Samantha, massive falling out. Some dramatic fight at a bar that I wasn't there, didn't care to be. Let them deal with the wreckage. The social collapse they built for themselves. I wasn't part of it anymore. Instead, I focused on me. I reconnected with old friends, people I'd drifted from. Because I was too busy playing errand boy for fake friends. I started going to the gym again. Spent weekends doing stuff I actually enjoyed. Joined a local hiking group. Went out for coffee with people who didn't make me feel like I was only there to be useful. And slowly my phone stopped blowing up with last-minute favors. Stopped lighting up with guilt-trip texts. Stopped feeling like a leash. And that felt like freedom. One Saturday afternoon, I was sitting at the park, book in hand, sun on my face, when it hit me. How quiet my life had become. But not in a lonely way. In a peaceful way. I control my energy now. Kind of way. Fake emergencies. Late night rescue missions. Can you spot me till Friday? Texts. Just silence. And choice. Sometimes, I'd see them around AT bars, the gym. Crossing the street, they'd glance at me. Sometimes with surprise. Sometimes with guilt. Sometimes with straight-up awkward avoidance. And me? I'd just smile, nod, and keep walking. Because I wasn't bitter. Not anymore. I was done. Done being the guy they only called when it benefited them. Done being their plan B. Done being their joke. Now, I was too busy living my life on my terms. Looking back now, it's crazy how many signs I missed. How many gut feelings I silenced. How many times I told myself, they're just joking. It's not that deep. They care. They just have a weird way of showing it. But the truth, they didn't care. Not really. And deep down, I always knew it started small. Little things. The way they only called when they needed something. The way conversations always, somehow, shifted back to their problems, their drama, their money issues, their breakups. Me, I was the listening ear, the free Uber, the unpaid therapist, the backup wallet. And when I needed something, silence, excuses, sudden disappearances, and the jokes, God, the jokes, always harmless, always just teasing. But the thing about constant teasing is that after a while, it's just bullying. Wrapped in laughter, I can't count how many nights I drove home from hangouts, smiling on the outside, but inside, feeling small, stupid, used. But I kept showing up, kept saying yes, kept ignoring the pit in my stomach, because being needed felt better than being alone. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Now I see it for what it was. Emotional manipulation. Guilt-based. Friendship. One-sided loyalty. And here's the thing no one tells you. Sometimes, fake friends don't even realize they're faked. They're just so used to taking that they forget how to give, but that doesn't make it okay. That doesn't mean you owe them more pieces of yourself. These days, I pay attention that if someone only calls when they need something, red flagged. If the jokes always punch down, red flag. If every interaction leaves me feeling drained, disrespected, unseen, red flag. I don't wait for the 10th time anymore, that I don't give unlimited second chances, that I don't play the maybe they're just going through something card, because my peace is not up for negotiation. Not anymore. It took losing an entire friend group to realize that losing people isn't the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing is losing yourself, trying to hold on to people who were never really there for you to begin with. So now, I set boundaries, hard ones. I say no, without guilt. I walk away, without explaining myself. And when I spot the patterns, I cut it off at the root, because life's too short to waste on people who only love you when it's convenient. If you're sitting there, listening to this, and something about my story sounds familiar, let me tell you straight. You're not imagining it. You're not being sensitive, and you're not wrong. For wanting more, for wanting better, for wanting real friendship. Let me break it down for you. If your friends only hit you up when they need something, that's not friendship. If you're always the one making plans, always the one reaching out, always the one picking up the pieces, that's not friendship. If their jokes consistently leave you feeling small, embarrassed, less than, that's not friendship. If that's manipulation, that's emotional laziness. If that's using someone without labeling it as such, and the longer you stay in it, the more you'll convince yourself that this is normal, that this is what friendship looks like. But trust me, it's not. So how do you get out? First, you stop responding out of obligation. Start listening to your gut. If you see their name pop up on your phone and your first reaction is stress or dread or an automatic "what now?" that's a sign. Pay attention to it. Next, start saying no. Start small if you have to. Sorry, I can't. I'm busy. Not today. You don't owe anyone an essay. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You owe yourself peace, time, energy, and boundaries. And here's the hard truth. When you start pulling back, some of them will get mad. Some will guilt trip you. Some will play victim. Some will suddenly act like you've changed. And you know what? They're right. You did change. You woke up, and people who were comfortable with the old you will hate the version of you that stops being easy to use. Let them. That's not your problem anymore. And when they start to drift away, let them. Don't chase. Don't backtrack. Because every person who leaves your life, when you start demanding basic respect, is making space for people who actually deserve you. People who call to check on you without needing something. People who show up without expecting you to fix their lives. People who see you as more than just a convenience. It won't happen overnight. That you'll feel lonely at first. That you'll question yourself. That you'll miss the noise, even if it was toxic. But give it time, because what's waiting on the other side is better, healthier, real. And you're worth that more than you realize. It's crazy how quiet life gets when you cut out the noise, the fake apologies, the guilt trips, the manipulative late-night texts. At first, it felt lonely, really lonely. The group chats went silent. Weekends were wide open. My phone barely buzzed. And yeah, there were moments where I wondered if I'd made a mistake, where I caught myself scrolling through old photos, remembering inside jokes, good times that now I realize were built on one-sided effort. But you know what? That loneliness didn't last, because once the dust settled, something better started filling the space. Real connections, people I hadn't talked to in years, started popping back up. Old college friends, coworkers I'd kept at arm's length, neighbors I barely said more than hey to point one by one. Conversations started happening. Real conversations, not just, hey bro, can you do me a favor? But how you been? Want to grab a drink this weekend? You okay? Haven't seen you around. Actual care, actual effort. I started saying yes to things that felt good. Game nights, coffee runs, hiking trips, Not out of obligation, but because I wanted to. Because I actually liked these people. Because when I showed up, they were happy to see me, not happy to use me. Big difference. Huge point one night. Few months after everything, I found myself sitting around a bonfire with some new friends, laughing, telling stories, and it hit me. For the first time in God knows how long, I wasn't stressed, I wasn't waiting for the next guilt trip text, I wasn't wondering what favor someone was going to ask next, I was just there, enjoying the moment, feeling like I belonged, not because of what I could do for them, but because of who I was, period. And the best part, I stopped shrinking myself, stopped biting my tongue. If someone crosses a line now, I call it out. If something feels off, I trust my gut. If someone tries to test my boundaries, they're gone. Quick. No debate. No second chances. Because once you've tasted this kind of peace, this kind of freedom, you'll do anything to protect it. And the thought of going back to being the backup plan, the emotional ATM, the group punching bag, never again. Not in this lifetime. Sometimes, I still see their names pop up. Old group members posting on socials, trying to act like life's great, but the captions feel forced, the smiles look fake, the same people, still playing the same tired games. While me, I'm out here, living real, laughing real, loving real, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. If you've made it this far, and you're still listening, that probably means you've got people like this in your life too. People who drain you, use you, make you feel small while smiling to your face. People who only reach out when they need something, who disappear when you need them, who laugh at your expense, but get offended the second you stop playing along. And I want you to hear this. You don't owe them anything. Not your time, not your energy, not your mental health. Nothing. I spent years thinking that being a good friend meant being available 24/7. Bailing people out, fixing problems that weren't mine, being the emotional first responder to every crisis, big or small. But guess what? Being a good friend doesn't mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean sacrificing your peace so someone else can avoid their consequences. It doesn't mean letting yourself become their plan B, their safety net. There. Emotional punching bag. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to outgrow people who only knew how to take. And yeah, it'll hurt at first. Loneliness will creep in. You'll second guess yourself. You'll replay old memories. Wonder if you're being dramatic. Wonder if maybe you're the problem. You're not. You're healing. You're growing. You're finally choosing yourself. And that's something they were never going to do for you. So here's what I'll leave you with. Start small. Mute that group chat. Decline the next favor. Take a weekend for yourself. And when the guilt kicks in, remember this. People who love you, for real, will never make you feel bad for choosing your peace. And the ones who do aren't your friends. They're just people who got too comfortable with you being uncomfortable. And now, that era is over. You're not their plan B. You're not their emotional crutch. You're not their joke. You're you. And that is more than enough. So go live like it.